Mayor Wu, and thank you for all of the City Council members for holding this press conference to help share this information. This is such a tragic day for our community. So many of us will be touched by people that we know directly or indirectly that were victims of this tragic tragedy that happened. You know, overnight I was in contact with the White House Situation Room, getting updates as they were going through the process. I spoke last night with the chairwoman of the National Transportation Safety Board as well. And at that point in time, their investigation was they were getting prepared for that, but they were waiting for the search and rescue efforts to conclude before they started that investigation. So I know this is going to be a tragedy that touches our community. We have such a steep history of being involved in aviation, and being a close, knit community like we are, it's going to have consequences for years to come. I do want to make a general comment about air safety in general. I mean, we have the safest skies in any country in the world, and when a tragic incident like this happens, obviously we want to do the investigation, which will take days and weeks to go through that process, and to make sure that we can prevent accidents like this from happening in the future. And so I appreciate all of the updates we'll have this morning. I know there will be more coming out, both from here in Wichita as well as in DC. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Congressman. We also have a representative for Senator Jerry Moran who will share a statement as well.
Mayor, thank you. Mike Zammerslow with United States Senator Jerry Moran's office. The senator asked me to share the following statement on his behalf. Wichita is located in the heart of our nation, and today we are grieving. I received confirmation this morning that no one survived the crash of American Airlines Flight 5342. This is a sad day for Kansans and our nation as we awaken this morning to this tragic news. My heart grieves for the lives that were lost and their loved ones, who are now learning that their friend or family member was among those who perished. There will be much to learn and to do in the coming days in the wake of this tragedy. But today, please join me in praying for Kansas. May God comfort those who are mourning. Mayor, thank you.
I would like to now ask our Airports Director, Jesse Romo, to provide some updates. And again, a lot of the details are still waiting for confirmation. And so we ask that Jesse give us the latest that we have confirmed.
Thank you, Mayor. Good morning, everyone. Jesse Romo, Director of Airports, Wichita Airport Authority. I don't have a lot of official information to share. We will get that directly from NTSB. American Airlines will be providing the official updates and information. They do have a newsroom that you can go to online. The website is aa.com/newsroom. There is also an 800 number to utilize for the friends and family members of the people aboard the flight. 1-800-679-8215. I will say that airport staff did activate our family incident support team last night. And so if family members did show up to the terminal to have additional information, even for support, we were there with them, with our team of volunteers, along with other airline staff and representatives. The airport remains open. There is air traffic continuing. Right now, we do have fog, so I would ask everybody to please drive safe as you're headed to the airport or are traveling today, and keep up with your airline for additional information. And right now, that's all I have. Thank you.
I would like to say that Director Jesse Romo, City Manager Bob Layton, and several council members were at the airport last night as the care team got activated. I also learned from American Airlines this morning that additional care team members have come to Wichita and will be providing support for families as well as crew members. I am in direct contact with American Airlines to find out the confirmed information to provide to all of you. But I want to reiterate that any information should go to their hotline, especially for families. And that number that Jesse said already, but I will remind everyone to use again, is 1-800-679-8215. In addition, this afternoon at high noon, the Wichita City Council, in contact with the Greater Wichita Ministerial League and multiple faith leaders in Wichita, will be coming together for a community-wide prayer. And we ask that anyone who would like to join us to come to City Hall here in downtown Wichita for that community prayer. All are welcome. At this time, our community needs to come together to support the family members who have been impacted, to come together in honor of those individuals on that flight. And as a council, we will lead in bringing this community together to pray for our community, but also move our community to know that there are resources. And as a city, we will have additional resources, especially for staff who have been impacted. And I am again grieving with everyone in our community and those in Washington, D.C. due to this very tragic incident that happened. We will take a few questions at this time.
Do you know how many of the passengers are Wichita residents versus traveling back home to DC or somewhere else?
At this time, we don't have that information, and I know that we don't have the manifest at this moment.
Any family or friends of people?
The care team was activated last night, and one family was there. And I want to say thank you to our local media partners who were respectful here in Wichita. That says a lot about our community. The care team was there to provide comfort for that family, and the council members were also there to provide comfort for them. But at this time, that is all we have in regards to family members.
Do you know how many families did show up last night?
Only one.
Was everything normal at the beginning of this flight taking off from Wichita?
Say that again.
Was the flight normal taking off?
I will have Jesse.
Yes, to our knowledge, everything occurred as normal, so there was no abnormality to the operation.
Will that this flight continue as normal tonight? Or is this flight on hold? Changes on?
I know Reagan National was shut down for a while. They have plans to reopen the airport, and I haven't heard yet when exactly they're going to open, and I haven't heard specifically for this flight. But if we do have additional information, that will come from American as well. And so if folks are looking to fly on that route, just need to continue to check with American Airlines.
Jesse, how many seats were on the plane on the 700? Is that
Yeah, well, good word. The configuration depends, for each aircraft, but it is approximately about 75 seats normally, and I would have to get specifics on that aircraft, but I do have that at this time.
Has there been any contact with Bombardier, especially with this being the airplane?
No. No.
Do you know where they are in the process of contacting the families?
We do not. And, most of this incident occurred at DCA.
Right, this is in a news conference from Wichita, Kansas. Mayor Lily Wu leading that. Obviously, everyone in Wichita, a city of about some 400,000 people, has to be concerned this morning about the possibility they know someone that was on that American Airlines Flight 5342 to Washington, D.C. No survivors, 64 people on board, 60 passengers, 4 crew. They did not have a lot of information there. They weren't going to get out ahead of notifying those families of the people who were on board, and they really were from everywhere as well. We know U.S. figure skating, the Federation had a number of people on board, believed to be citizens from outside the United States as well. We will, of course, report when we do learn the identities of those on board. In the meantime, let's go back to Washington, D.C. Renee Marsh has been following the latest on the investigation. Renee, what are you learning?
So what we can tell you, John, is obviously as the search is underway, the big question, and there are many, what went wrong and which aircraft was in the right or wrong position, altitude-wise, position-wise. These are all questions that investigators will want to know. But going back to just the simple issue of the airspace here around Reagan National Airport, again, we have been saying this, but just a reminder for viewers that this is a very complex airspace because military, police, as well as commercial airliners traverse this airspace outside of Washington, D.C. But what we know today from the updates that we've received is that both the military jet as well as, the military helicopter and the commercial regional jet were both in a standard pattern of flight. But what is not standard, obviously, is the collision. And so we have the flight path there that you're looking at on your screen. You can see the commercial airliner is traveling along there. That's the Potomac River. And at a certain point, that is when it and the Black Hawk Army helicopter collide. And that is when the flight tracking cuts off, obviously, with that mid-air collision. We have very little information, but we are grasping onto what we do know, and that is being revealed in air traffic control audio, and we have that. And this gives us a data point. So we know from this audio that you're about to hear that at the very least, the pilots inside of this Army Black Hawk helicopter did see this commercial jetliner. Take a listen.
S35, get the CRJ in flight. S35, F1 is CRJ. It's above the aircraft in flight versus separation. Separate. The 472 Washington, 1 star, 32017.
So you heard that, oh my, it was an audible gasp by the air traffic controller, where at that point, that is when they saw that the two aircraft had collided mid-air. It's worth noting that this service between Wichita, Kansas and Washington, D.C., it's a relatively new service, that it's been up and running, this route, for a year, 1 year. And we do know that both the NTSB and the FAA have launched their investigation. They are going to be the ones to tell us the answer to all these questions that we have here and exactly what happens. And these NTSB investigations, they're critical not only to get the answers, but once these investigations conclude, they result in real life safety changes within the aviation system to prevent something like this from ever happening again. So their priorities are going to be talking to and interviewing the air traffic controllers. They're going to want to take a closer look at the wreckage. We do know from these press conferences that 3 pieces of the fuselage from the commercial regional jet have been found in waist-deep water. They're going to want to examine that. That gives them a lot of information, believe it or not. And they're also going to want to find the black boxes. Both of these aircraft are equipped with black boxes that are designed to withstand extensive heat as well as water. So once they can retrieve them, locate them, they will take them to their labs and they will analyze it. And the reason why these black boxes are so crucial, they are literally a treasure trove of information. We can learn things like, what were the pilots saying in the cockpit at the time? Were all the systems on these aircraft working properly? Were they functioning properly? We will even know what the altitude was for each of these aircraft. All pieces of information that will help them paint this fuller picture of what went wrong. John?
All right, Renee Marsh for us. Please keep us posted as to what you learn as you talk to officials there. In the meantime, we have an official with us right now, the mayor of Washington, D.C., Muriel Bowser. Mayor, thank you so much for being with us. We listened to your news conference just a short time ago. We appreciate the work that you've done all night to keep us all informed. Anything new since the news conference in terms of the recovery effort? At that time, it was 27 bodies from the plane, 1 from the helicopter.
Well, John, thank you for getting the word out to the families impacted by this horrific incident. We did provide a briefing with federal, local officials, as well as public safety agencies from around this region. We continue, DC Fire continues now to work with the NTSB in making sure that we can recover all of the souls that were on these aircraft, and that work continues. I expect that NTSB, which is the lead agency on the investigation, will provide further briefings about our recovery efforts, as well as information for families.
I understand the airport, we've been told, will open at 11 a.m. What about other areas in the district? Are there other closures people need to know about that will continue?
Well, we do expect the airport CEO that operates here at Reagan National and Dulles International indicates that the airport will open at 11. Individual carriers, I'm sure, are making decisions about their flight, so everybody flying should pay close attention to their airlines. We know that it's absolutely safe to travel to DC, to Reagan National. The airports, FAA, have all given the green light to continue flight operations. We have a lot of federal personnel, DC personnel in the Potomac River right now assisting with these recovery efforts. We expect to be working hand in hand with NTSB until we find out everything that happened.
Now, obviously, this airspace over the Potomac is complicated between Washington, D.C. and Maryland and Virginia and all the federal institutions and security measures in place there. So it's complicated exactly who runs what at what time. But there are questions this morning about the helicopters that do fly regularly on a low path over the Potomac. But one of the things we have heard from people who live in Washington and see it is, do they need to be flying so often, so low when it's so dark? What questions do you have about helicopter military training that does take place on a regular basis over the Potomac?
I think we're going to have a lot of questions. One thing I'm pretty clear about, not having all of the briefings that the FAA, I think, has given the Secretary of Transportation or perhaps others. But one thing we're clear about is this plane was on a path to land and was very close to the airport, and we have no indication that the plane did anything that any pilot approaching Reagan National would have done to land safely. I don't know. It's been reported, and I've been advised that the helicopter was on a routine training route. I don't know what that entails. I don't know how often they do it. I don't know what the path is. The Secretary reported that it was a standard path. So the NTSB is an independent agency. The NTSB is responsible for answering those questions, and the flying public wants to know. We have very complicated aircraft and systems that work day in and day out. Thousands of flights come into national airports safely all the time, and it is a busy airport. It's a well-run airport. It's a well-managed airport, experienced staff here. And so we do need those questions answered.
Mayor Muriel Bowser, again, we appreciate your time this morning. We're trying to get people as much information as we can as it develops. So thank you. Keep us posted. Obviously, we are following the breaking news. The crash of 5342, the American Airlines flight from Wichita to Washington, colliding mid-air with the U.S. Army Black Hawk helicopter. 67 people believed dead this morning. and we do still have questions. The investigation's at the very early stage for how this could happen on a routine landing into Washington's Reagan National Airport. Much more ahead. Stay with us.